Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way show. So happy to have you with me this evening, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and it's a Sunday. What am I doing on a Sunday? It is very rare that I will do a show on a Sunday, but I felt like I have to. I feel like this RFK stuff, the hits just keep coming, and I feel like I just got to keep doing stuff. Like I just got to keep going because the hits keep coming. I guess I should be happy about that, but I don't know if I am. I don't know if you are. But they do keep coming. So we have to keep having this chat about what's been said, what's going on. And if you have watched me for a while, you know one of the things I do is I will review either an interview that a politician does or a speech they do, presentation they do. And then I'll break down what it actually means. I'll break down when they're hiding. I'll break down what they're doing. I'll break down what it actually means in everyday language. You'll see what's happening. And also sometimes I'll show you the corruption and all the lies. So I thought Bobby Kennedy Jr. today, RFK Jr. today, actually did an interview on Fox News around 1 o'clock or so, sometime this afternoon, ET. And he spoke about what he was thinking, all those types of things. So I thought, let's chat about that because I want to kind of break it down so you understand why he's saying it, what he means by that, and all those things, just so you're kind of clear on it. So I'm going to cover that absolutely right now. Let me pop it up, and I'll show you what it was, and we can start talking about it as we move forward with no further delay.
And joining us now is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Shannon, thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. You and President Trump not always fans of each other. He posted on social media earlier this year, he's one of the most liberal lunatics ever to run for office. A phony radical left fool whose poll numbers are terrible and getting worse. The New Yorker said just a couple of weeks ago.
So now I want to bring this piece up. Does that mean that Trump actually believes it either way? It doesn't matter if you like Trump or not. This is not the point. The reality of it is this type of stuff, generally speaking, is stuff that he will say, period. Trump is someone who actually does like you or doesn't like you based on how you feel about him. He is very fickle in this regard. So when Trump says that, he's actually mad at him. And he's just like, why won't you do what I want? And he's mad at him. And then, oh, you do what I want? I like you now. So Trump is that fickle. That's a real thing. He is that fickle. He'll change and shift. Whatever he wants, he'll take.
Left fool whose poll numbers are terrible and getting worse. The New Yorker said just a couple of weeks ago this, in a recent text exchange, Kennedy told one person that Trump was a terrible human being, the worst president ever and barely human. He is probably a sociopath. Now, I haven't read your text, so you can speak to that. But how did you get from that position to Friday night?
Now, this shows how this is going to be a positive interview. You might say, why? Right now, he can relax and he knows he's good. Why? Because she did not demand that he actually address that. She said it to cover herself. That's why she did that. Because now someone goes, that was an easy interview. She goes, nah, look, I brought up this stuff up front. This was not easy. She did that to cover herself, but she wants it to be a positive interview. And you might say, oh, Larry, really? Yes, that's why. If he just would have said, so tell me why you're great, Bobby, that would have been obviously too much of a softball interview. But this will obviously be a relatively softball interview. You could tell off the bat. So if I'm him, I'm like, good. I'm good. She's on my side. It's fine, even though she started hard. So for those of you thinking she was attacking, she was not. Protected her, this will be softball. If this was ABC or CBS or any of those, they would have said, how can you be with the man who you called the sociopath? Or why would you believe a man who would say this about you? That would have been the next question. That's how you know what is right, whether it's a good or a softball interview or not, by how it starts. You can always tell how it starts, and this is going to be fine.
Well, it became clear to me that I did not have a path to victory. 16 months of censorship.
Now, to be forward, that's not accurate. Now, what is more important is it actually doesn't matter if it was accurate. Why do I say that? If it was not accurate, but he believes it's accurate, then it might as well be accurate, if that makes any sense. He's the top of the ticket. And when people understand something about running a campaign, it is all about perception, even internally. So if the top of your ticket feels like this can't be done, then it can't be done. It doesn't matter if it can. I do think that there was still a path to victory. You know that. I said it a week ago. I still thought there was. And I still think there is still a path to impact, or I wouldn't be talking to you. There's still a big path to impact. But once your candidate believes that, you're in trouble. So if you're ever in a campaign, make sure your candidate believes they can make impact. If they don't, your entire campaign's doomed. Your candidate is the center of purpose. And repeat that. Your candidate is the center of purpose. If that purpose goes away, why are you all there? Why are you wasting your time and energy? So I get it. While I'm not happy this happened, if he believed that, it was the right move, if that makes any sense for him, right? If he believed it, it was the right move. Even though I disagree, I'm not the candidate. It doesn't matter what I think.
Not being able to get on any network really except for Fox. And I had, in fact, when Ross Perot ran, in the 10 months that he ran, he had 34 appearances on the networks. I had 2 appearances in 16 months. So I was blocked out from the networks. I was blocked out from the debate. I had no power.
He was blocked from all those things by the Democratic Party. You know, only Fox had him on. So the Democratic system completely pushed him out. And the Democratic Party will say in their public statements, his campaign just, failed. There's no conspiracy against him. That is a blatant lie. And every one of your friends who says that, it's a blatant lie. The Democratic Party literally went out of their way to destroy him. And that is why he felt this way. Obviously, if he's a former Democrat. So of course he feels betrayed. Of course he does.
That's the victory. President Trump had been reaching out to me. And I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt. And we had a long conversation by phone.
Now, why would Trump want to have a long conversation by phone after his assassination attempt? Because no matter what you think about the assassination attempt, clearly that would affect you or anybody else. Not just that, if you're human at all, that firefighter died. Not because of Trump. I'm not blaming Trump for that. But that firefighter died because he was there with Trump. Trump and his people have to feel that. They're just human beings, right? So if I'm the guy who set it up, or if I'm the guy who helped put it together, now some guy's dead, right? Father, he's gone. He's dead. I helped put this together. It's because of this campaign. It has to make you rethink is all I'm saying. So I have no doubt that Trump was way open to having all kind of conversations after the attempt. Maybe his own life flashed in front of his eyes. Who knows, right? Whatever the case may be. They all might be thinking that. But either way, I do think that that would be a time to have a long conversation. And also someone who might say, wait a minute, I've been affected by assassinations, and that's RFK Jr. This actually makes sense to me. I don't think this is an exaggeration. I don't think this is anything. There are going to be some, of course. There is no exaggeration in this case.
And had 2 extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broader issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That sounds great. That's not going to happen. See, this is the issue. Bobby Kennedy Jr. wanted to make impact, and I get it. I would too. I did too when I ran. Anyone who runs doesn't want to run and then just lose, right? Nobody wants. They want to do better to make impact if they actually care. Some people run only for the vanity or only for the power. If those who don't care to make impact, they just want to win. If not, they want to get a cabinet seat or something like that. They just want that. Bobby Kennedy Jr. actually wanted to make change. I believe that he wanted that. He did want that. So Trump offered it. Would I trust Trump? I'm going to follow the Ronald Reagan trust but verify. How about that? Was that a nice way of saying it? That's what I'd be concerned about. That'd be my worry. But I get why he would believe it, because he wants to, because Trump offers it and he wants a way out. He wants a way to make impact. Trump offered it. Democrats would never offer it. They would never offer it ever. It's not a thing that would happen. It was this way to make impact or just keep running.
These issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
That is a great line. We need to find a point in this country where we love our children more than we hate each other. For those of you who might remember that song from the 80s by Sting, I think it was called Russians, if that was the name of the song. And part of it is, I hope the Russians love their children too. And the whole idea was, let's not have a nuclear war, because in the 80s, I was in the Marine Corps in the 80s, so we were all scared of nuclear war with the Russians. Oh, with the Soviets, how about that? Does that sound better? Not the Russians, they were the Soviets. With the Soviets. And so we were hoping they love their children too. So I think that's a great line. I got to give them that. Great line there.
It's a good unifying theme that I think a lot of people could get around. It's how we get there. That's always the devil is in the details. Have you all negotiated?
Now again, this is why it's a positive interview. Details. Does she ask him for any? No. She says, the devil's in details. Okay, next question. I want her interviewing me. Please, Shannon, interview me all the time. Nice.
Negotiated over or talked about a cabinet position, another position within a Trump
Watch him
government
say no immediately.
in exchange for your endorsement?
No.
Okay, why did he say no? Everyone's gonna be like, wait a minute, Larry, that seems dumb. Most people don't know this. Shannon may or may not know it either, but this question was written for her for sure, whether she knows it or not, because it's illegal. It's illegal. You can't do a quid pro quo. That's why he was like, no, we did not do that. No, don't get me in jail. Don't get anybody arrested. No, of course not. Did they actually do it? Of course they did. Do I know that? Okay. It's one of those things that I don't know, but I know. Of course they did. They can't do it legally. And that's okay. I'm not mad at them for it. Don't say it out loud. Don't do that. You go to jail. So yes, you can't do we can't do a quid pro quo legally. So of course he will say no, regardless of what they agreed to. There's no way he would say yes.
There's been no commitments. But I met with President Trump, with his family, with his closer advisors, and we
Don Jr. is a big fan.
Commitment that we were going to work together.
What about the states where you're trying to get off of a number of swing state ballots to say, I'm going to stay on a number of state ballots, but in these swing.
Note what she's actually saying. She's not saying he's going to drop, because he's not dropping. But notice every single pro-democratic outlet is saying he dropped and endorsed Trump. That is not what happened. That is literally a lie. He said openly, I did not drop. They're all saying he dropped. Why? Because they want people to not vote for him anymore. Why? Because if he fights in these blue states, Democrats will have to spend money on these states. That's all they care about, is spending money on these states. They don't care about you. They don't care about truth. They care about spending money. They don't want to spend money on states that they weren't already, earmarked for.
States, I'm going to try to withdraw myself and ask my supporters, or at least you're telling them, think about supporting President Trump. Did you negotiate over which states you would try to withdraw
Of
from?
course.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew which states they were. There basically is 10 swing states where my presence in the race would have.
Hold on. Felicia says, even Republican outlet is stating he dropped. Yes, I have seen some of those, so you're right. Yes, some are. You're right. They're trying to get it to where he's out, right? There is, and here's the reason why they would say this, to be clear. And this is the part that Instant Defense says cash is king. You are correct, my friend. Cash is absolutely king. But the reason why they said that is, again, this is a Republican issue. Republicans say a state like New York. I use New York because I live here as an example, but I'm sure other states are similar. There are certain states where there is literally no chance Republicans are going to win. Well, if there's no chance Republicans are going to win, what happens to Republican infrastructure in that state? Well, nobody gives them money. Right back to Instant Defense, cash is king. Yes. So the Republican Party in those states has to lie. And they openly, blatantly lie. And again, Democrats do this in red states. This is not a Republican thing. This is a party thing. In this case, it's Republicans in blue states, but in red states, Democrats do it. The Republicans in New York State have to raise money. Well, what are you raising money for? What are you raising money for? Well, because Republicans. I don't care about that. Well, Trump. I'll give money to Trump. Right? Well, we have to support him in this state. Oh, you do? Oh, okay. I'll give money to the party. Right? So you give money to the party. But what happens if there's no chance of Trump winning your state? Well, they're not going to give money to the party. They're giving money for nothing. They're giving money for nothing. So they have to lie and say, no. Trump could win New York. Trump could take California. Trump could win Illinois. They say this kind of thing so that you will give money to the Republican Party. That's the reason why they do that. Now, if you're lucky, if whoever the opposite, I mean, same thing happens in, Democrats in Oklahoma, right? But hopefully if you have someone else who's big, if you have a good senator winning, we have a chance to win a Senate race or a governor race or something, you don't care about this if you're Republicans, right? If you're a Republican in a blue state or Democrat in a red state, and you have some other statewide candidate winning, for example, Kentucky has a Democratic governor in Bashir. They can get Democratic Party in Kentucky can raise tons of money. They got Bashir running. They have a Democrat running statewide. Their state party can raise tons of money. Or if they didn't have Bashir, they start struggling. They got to lie and say, oh, this time we'll win in the Senate or whatever story they got to say. And then they can raise money. If a Republican outlet, to your point, Felicia, wants to support the Republican Party here in a given state, in this case, New York, they're going to say, he dropped out, he's off the ballot, all that stuff to ensure the money keeps going to their party and not to him or somebody else. Or just they don't bother giving. Or they give money directly to Trump. The Republican Party in any given state doesn't want all the money to go directly to Trump. That is one of the reasons, there are many, but there's one of the reasons why there are campaign limits, right? If I'm wealthy, a wealthy donor, and I want to give $40,000 because I'm a wealthy donor, I can only give a max of $6,600 if I'm married, $3,300 if I'm single, to Trump. That's all I can give. That's all I can. What else am I going to do? How can I support Trump? Oh, I'll give the other $30,000 to my party, or give the other $30,000 to a PAC, or something like that. That's how they get extra cash. That's why they don't want anyone thinking just going to him. They also want their cut. So thank you for that. I want to make sure we were clear on that piece. All righty.
Helped Vice President Harris and would have harmed President Trump. So I'm going to get off the ballot in those states, and then we're going to stay on the ballot in 30 states. And, I'm encouraging people to vote for me in those states. Those are states with the votes. They're either all red or all blue states where their votes are not going to change the outcome of the race. But in the states where I would have been a spoiler, I'm going to get out.
So why would that matter? Why would you in those states want to vote for Bobby Kennedy Jr.? There's a couple of reasons, right? People earlier on have asked, would you trust Trump? That kind of thing. If there is an actual independent party, if we get 5% of the vote across the entire country, so it doesn't matter what states they come from. They can come just from those 30 states. 5% of the vote will be somewhere between 8 and 8.5 million votes, depending upon how many people vote. But in that area, about 8 to 8.5 million votes. If a total of 8 million people vote for Bobby Kennedy Jr. across those 30 states, that's 5%. Now they'll qualify for matching funds, which over the course of the campaign will be over $20 million in matching funds for whoever runs for president. That person could be Bobby Kennedy Jr. again in 2028, or somebody else who he supports, maybe Nicole Shanahan, whomever, right? Could be somebody else. So if Trump does decide, I was just kidding, you're out, he now has a competitor in 2026 for the state senates and for the senates and for the Congress, and a big one in 2028. So that is the reason why this matters. If you're wondering, why would you stay on 30 states? Because of that. This is the reason for us to keep fighting. This is the reason for him to keep fighting. So yes, Kennedy says he's still fighting it. He's still fighting it in New York. Correct. In New York, right now in New York State, that we will have a final hearing on the 28th. This, I think it's Wednesday, this Wednesday. By Friday, we should have an answer. I feel comfortable that he's going to win. I do. I feel comfortable he's going to win. I explain why in other places, but I do think he's going to win. So that's New York State.
It's about 10 states.
Okay, so there were reports a couple of weeks ago citing an official from your camp and also a Democratic official saying that there had been outreach to the Harris camp as well to
Now, I want to bring that piece on. What the report was, and you've heard me say it before, was that staffers reached out to look for jobs. That's accurate. But did he reach out to look for a job? No. Did he reach out? Yes. And he reached out to everybody. Why would he reach out? Why would he reach out to talk to everybody? Here's the reason why. And you just saw it. If you watched when he was on stage with Trump, if you watch when he's out here like this, he gains legitimacy. You can be mad that he's backing Trump. I'm not happy about it, but it doesn't matter. He does gain it. He's back on TV again. We're talking about him again. He's back doing press conference again, right? You gain legitimacy by being on a stage or connected or talking to anyone who has authority, right? This is how it works. When they took the picture of him on the phone with Trump, he gained legitimacy. So of course he wants to reach out to Harris. He would have loved to have a sit down with Harris. Harris didn't give it to him, obviously. If I was Harris, I wouldn't have either. I mean, I think if I'm supporting, I mean, I don't support Harris, but if I was consulting Harris, I'd have said, don't you dare talk to him. Leave him alone. He does not exist. He's not one of us. He's not a player. And her handlers obviously told him that, and they did not do it at all. They absolutely ignored him, which again, for them was right, but I think was terrible in general because it gave him no respect. But yes, of course he would do that.
Possibly discuss you working within the Harris administration in exchange for an endorsement of her. Is that true? And what happened with that?
I reached out to them on the same basis that I reached out to President Trump, and we actually talked to other presidential candidates, including Chase Oliver and the Libertarian Party, about figuring out ways that we could end the polarization and the hatred
and that's true. What he just said is accurate. He reached out to all of them wanting to have a conversation, not about a job. The guy who called him for the job is a guy named President Trump. We know that to be true. He did not reach out to anybody for a job. Trump reached out to him. He said so up front. Trump admitted it. We saw the phone call. It was recorded and released. So we know at no point did he call anybody looking for a job. Why would he call Democrats looking for a job? There's no way they would help him. They have been punishing him for months. They would never do it. I know it. He wouldn't do it. It would never have happened. His staffers did because they were scared they're not going to have jobs. So they called Democrats going, hey, you got a job for me? Of course they did. That's how that works.
Israel start talking about issues. And, I was welcome to listen to anything from the Democrats that they were going to do something about the war, about the Ukraine war, about the censorship, about the child health crisis, this epidemic of chronic disease that has now disabled about 60% of our kids. And, when my uncle was President Shannon, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, over 60% do. And, it's hard to find a kid today that's not been damaged by it. And it's coming from our food supply, from,
Is that wrong?
From pollution in our environment, from toxics in our environment, and mainly from corruption in our government that allows that to happen.
You've talked about, or there's been discussion that if you were to...
Now, he didn't answer that question as well as he could have at all, and she did not push back at all. As I told you up front, you can tell how she started is how this is going to go. You knew how this was going to go from the beginning, right? If I'm him and I get that opening, I'm like, okay, I can kind of dodge some stuff. It's good. No worries.
The Trump administration in some health-related position, you have real interest in dismantling things like the FDA, the CDC, NIH. You would like to see a focus away from infectious diseases to what you're talking about, more chronic diseases. Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
Now, this part, I remember, this part makes me unhappy because you know what I want him to say. He doesn't say it.
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would.
Yes, you were supposed to say yes. That's what I wanted you to say. Oh, you didn't say what I wanted you to say. I guess I'll take it because at least someone will do something. Damn it. Not what I wanted him to say.
Change the focus, and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies. That is a perverse incentive. In NIH, scientists and officials in NIH who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from
That's
those
true.
products. These are
not wrong.
regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. Everybody, the most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody's making.
Now, I know some of you who have listened to him talk before go, this is him just saying the stuff he said before. You're right. That's true. But how many times has he been able to say this long, this way, to this many people? He hasn't. People ask Larry, why was I so happy that Bobby Kennedy Jr. was running for president? I said this months ago, how happy I was. Like, well, Larry, why? He's not a libertarian. Why do you care? Because I knew something. I knew I'd be able to talk about ballot access so much in so many arenas to so many people, and how bad the two-party system is and how horrible everything is, and the debates and the polling, and how we're going to speak to so many people about stuff that I've been crying about, whining about since 2016, that I would get to get it all out this year, and I did. And now here's a shot. He's on Fox News, and he's talking about stuff that only people who like Bobby have heard before. If you don't already like Bobby, you haven't heard this before, because they have stifled him on everything he said. Now he gets to actually say these things. So I'm good. Say it is fine. Whatever. Say your thing. No, I mean, I know it. I've heard it 1,000 times, but I'm still happy. Go say it. Say your stuff.
The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA, out of NIH, out of the CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
I'm going to go back to your decision from Friday. Both you and Nicole Shanahan, your running mate, have talked about how you feel like the Democrats completely mistreated you, excluded you from the process.
Yep.
How much of it?
Let me stop there for a second, because I do want to make sure, guys, as we're going through this, if you're liking what I'm saying, I'm trying to give you insight to what people are thinking, how things are working. If you like that, do me a favor, click the button that is like. Please make that. Be all ham-fisted with your fist or whatever. I don't care what you use, whatever. Don't break your computer or break your phone. But please do that. Everyone matters. You know that once I have an R, a F, and a K in anything, the algorithms crush me. You know that. You know our friend, Mr. Al Gore Rhythm. Mr. Rhythm always, he doesn't like me, so we got to be good to him. If you're watching on Twitter or X, please repost this or reshare this, whatever is your thing. If you're on Facebook, please share it. It does matter. If you have not subscribed and or followed, please do so. If you want your chat to go to the front, you can support the show with a super chat. If you happen to be on Larry Sharpe YouTube, you can do that. Larry Sharpe YouTube, you can also join if you want to become a member. If you want me to do more of this, I've been trying to do like every day to the best of my ability because so much keeps happening. It is driving me crazy, but I think it is worth it. If you can, a membership is nice. Click that join button and support the show. But no matter what, you can click the button that is like. I will grab a couple of comments before we keep going because I know a bunch you're going to be zipping by here. So, all righty. Let's see. The Detroit Lion Ryan says, could that money from the 5% be used for other state and U.S. congressional races? Theoretically, yes, but there is a nuanced way. Generally speaking, no. But you could. You could do like joint fundraisers and joint events to where you pay for it, but then they collect money. It can be done. It's a little bit awkward. For example, whenever you do, and any of you who run campaigns, you never want to have a situation to where you're actually collecting money from more than one entity. So you can collect money for a congressional candidate or for the president or for a PAC. Once you start mixing and matching, you are asking to be sued. You are begging to have a complaint against you. So what could happen in theory? If you are part of the We the People party in 2026, 2028, or 2028, and matching funds comes in, could a presidential candidate say, show up at one of your events and therefore pay for the entire event, and then any funds coming in goes to congressional candidate? Something like that can be done, if that makes any sense, Ryan, right? So if I'm the president candidate and Ryan, you're running for Congress, I say, oh, you can do an event on Tuesday at so-and-so place. My campaign will pay for the entire thing. We'll both show up. I'll talk, you'll talk, and the money that gets raised goes to you. that would be the way that you could support a congressional candidate. If I hope that's clear. So yeah. All righty. Sarah says, I think what it means is Amaryllis has all kinds of tricks up her sleeve. She has shaped the Trump campaign. Maybe. I don't really know. Amaryllis and I don't really talk. So we're not supposed to anyway. I consult with the PAC, so we don't. But I don't know. Maybe. I think that's possible. Raza says, I'm physically sick in my stomach, not being mean, just truly not registering this at all. Yes, going to vote if I can in North Carolina for him. Hate not to vote at all. Help Larry. This is the craziest S ever. It is very challenging. I agree with you. Things have been changing very quickly. Things have been shifting around very quickly. And it is odd. I think the focus now, in my view, if we want to help the country, if we want to help Bobby get what he wants done, the focus now needs to be on the 5% for the party. The independent party, the We the People party, is going to be the insurance that Bobby will need to get something done, because that becomes the threat that he can use in 2026 or 2028. If there is no party, there is no threat. If there is no threat, why would Trump do what he says? I mean, he might. Maybe the assassination attempt changed his minds, and maybe he would. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know Trump well at all. I think I met the man like years ago once in New York City, and he would remember me at all. It was like a hi and shake his hand. It was in passing. There's no way he'd remember me. That's that's how much I know him. In passing, I think I shook his hand once, like in 2005 or something like that. Right? Whatever. It's years ago. He wasn't running for president or anything like that back then. So, I mean, maybe. So I don't know him at all. So it's possible that he would do it, but insurance matters. So I think that's what we have to focus on. To focus on that. If you can vote for him, I would do so. Yes. Mike, impressions and reviews. I think Larry needs to make clear about the write-in votes. It may not count in New York, and I believe write-ins are not allowed for president. Here's the problem. A bunch of states, I think it's about 12, literally have rules that say you may not do a write-in. Literally. And it's completely unconstitutional, utterly wrong, and still legal in those states. Just to be clear. You're going, Larry, that's not fair. It isn't. It's not fair. It's unconstitutional. Nobody cares. It's about 12 states. You write in, they don't count it. And about another 20 states, give or take, if you write in, you can only be an authorized write-in. So they decide if it's a good enough write-in for you. And then if it is, you have to hope that the people who are local count it understand it and want to do it. Not always true. So yes, write-ins don't work well. But look, to be forward, if you can write them in your state, I would do so. We're creating a 5%, 8.5 million grain of sand beach. Is that a lot? I don't know. Sounds right. So your grain of sand actually matters now. Generally speaking, and for most people in America, their vote does not matter. But if you vote Bobby Kennedy Jr. and he gets that 5%, it matters. That's the issue. And that's why it's important. Let's keep going.
Decision Friday is about revenge or motivated by punishing Democrats in some way.
Zero. I don't act.
All right. Look, I'm just going to be real here. That's not true. Sorry, Bobby. That's not true. I'm human. You're human. We're all human. I'm going to tell you a true story. Some of you are not going to like this, but I'm going to tell you a true story. When I got sued off the ballot by the Republicans in 2022, the Republicans and the conservatives sued me off the ballot. I spent $400,000. I'd lost so many friends and family and everything I'd lost because of it. It was terrible. I was $40,000 in debt, personal debt that I had to pay myself after 2022. I was $100,000 debt after 2018. But 2018 was worth it. In 2018, I didn't work for a year and a half. I amassed huge chunks of debt, but I got ballot access. I got my 2%. It was worth it. 2022, I got nothing. I literally just got an ass whipping. That was my entire goal. I paid $40,000 in debt to get an ass whipping. I was mad at Republicans. If they would have given me an opportunity to get them back, hell yeah, I would have. And that, Larry, you're petty. I'm human. Hell yeah, I would have. If If Kathy Hochul would have said, hey, Larry, you're not on the ballot. Do you want to get on the debate stage? I'd be like, yes. And I would have verbally destroyed the Republican because I was so angry. That's what I would have done. So they did him far dirtier than they did me, right? I mean, relatively, the Democrats screwed him way worse than the Republicans screwed me. So I am sure that in his heart, yeah, a little bit of anger. Yeah, a little bit of good. Take that. And you know what? He's not wrong. To be forward, he's not wrong. And if I had been vindictive against the Republicans, I wouldn't have been wrong. I gave the Republicans an opportunity in 2021 when I was going to run, when I was literally polling at 6%. And I told Republicans, hey, why don't you guys back me here in New York and we can win this thing? And they were like, yeah, wow, Larry, you're doing well, but you have to become a Republican. I said, if I become a Republican, I'll lose because Democrats in New York State don't like Republicans. They're going to vote against them. I'm going to lose. I said, I'll tell you what, let me stay Libertarian and let me run in your primary, right? I'll run in your primary. And if I win your primary, I'll be like Bernie Sanders. He's a socialist, but he runs Democratic primary. And the Democrats, if he wins, they let him run on their line, even though he's not a registered Democrat, he's a registered socialist. So let me, as a registered Libertarian, run in your primary. And if I win it, you let me on your line. That's legal. You can do it. It's how it works in New York State. They said, wow, that could actually work. I said, yeah, it could actually work. I'll win your primary because I knew I would win their primary. I'd win their primary. I would have multiple lines in New York State. We could maybe even fight against Kathy Hochul. They said, wow, that could work. We're going to sue you off the ballot because we would rather grift than have a chance at you winning. So, yeah. Would you think I was odd for being mad at them? Oh, I was mad. Now, I am no longer mad. Holding on to anger is not healthy. I teach it to people when I'm training and teaching. It's not good. I have let go of my anger, but I hadn't let go of it in 2022. I still had that anger. Boy, did I have that anger. And I had it for a while. Like I held on to the anger for a while. It is gone now. It's taking me some time to, get rid of that. I've done the work, got rid of that. So it's gone now, but it was there. So why do I say all this? They did him worse. Attacked him, called him names, still lying about him, losing his family and friends. You see that garbage his family did? All that stuff. I would be so mad. Oh my God, if I was him, I would want to destroy Democrats if I was him. Democratic Party, I should say. The individual Democrats don't care. But I mean, I would want to destroy the leadership. So yeah, there is some there. I'm sorry, Bobby. You're not a monk. There's some there.
In anything in my life, I don't act out of anger or revenge or resentment.
You're still human.
Nope, it's a bad motivation.
True.
It's like swallowing poison and hoping someone else will die.
Yeah, but when you're mad, as long as everybody's swallowing poison, you want that poison. So, yep.
So
sounds
I don't
good.
do it.
But no,
I am very pragmatic and practical, and I am focused on one thing, which is how do we restore health for our children? And that touches many, many other issues. How do we regenerate our soils in this country? How do we protect small family farmers? The incentives are all going to commodity agriculture, and that's what is feeding this chronic disease epidemic.
Notice every single time she asks him a question about what about you think, he says, here's what I think. And by the way, here's my talking points that none of you let me say when I was running independent.
The processed foods that are created by commodity agriculture. So we need to do all of these things at once. Protect small farmers, restore our soils, regenerative agriculture, and to get the corruption out of the federal government and make these agencies do what they were created to do, which is to protect our health and not serve the mercantile interests of the pharmaceutical companies and the processed food industry.
This decision is not without personal cost for you. Your own family went to the White House on St. Patrick's Day, took a huge picture with President Biden, made clear who they were supporting. Friday night, your siblings issued this statement. We believe.
Now, I'm not necessarily upset at this. I mean, I don't like it, but okay, they want to support him, whatever. That's
even
fine.
Harrison Waltz, our brother Bobby's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear.
This right here, and I say it often, and I know some people don't like this, but I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. Shame on Kathleen. Shame on Courtney. Shame on Carrie. Shame on Chris. And shame on Rory for backstabbing your own blood over politics. Horrible, terrible people that you would do that. Now, you don't have to support anybody for anything, not required at all. But you could just shut up. You could just say nothing. You could say nothing. You could just go, you know what? That's my brother and he'll do what he wants. We're going to support Biden. Okay, no worries. You can do that. Hey, we don't agree. You know, we want to support Biden and we don't like what my brother's doing. Okay, done. You could just do that. That's an option you can take. You can even say disagree. You say, you know what? I disagree with my brother. We're going to support Biden. All done. But this kind of thing, betrayal of his own father, betrayal of a family. What horrible human beings. What terrible people. And if it were me and this is my family, I would not be polite. I would light them up like there's no tomorrow. I would burn them down because what a horrible thing. This is unacceptable to use this. Again, just you disagree. Okay, he's family. This is your brother. This is your brother. And you do this. There's always an option here for all of me too. Everybody else. Me too. You can always just shut up. That's a choice you can make. You have a right to free speech and you can use it if you want to. And you could shut up. If you notice, I do it often. Lots of stuff happens in my party. I don't take a stand. People online try to get me to say things. I don't say anything. I say nothing very often on things that happen because I have that option. I can just shut up. What is this? This is proof, particularly in the Democratic Party. Republican too, but nowhere near as bad. That what the most important thing is virtue signaling. The most important thing, I have to virtue signal. Why? You can just shut up. You don't have to virtue signal for everything in the world. It's not required. This is terrible. You don't do this. You know, Frank brings it up perfectly. In a traditional Italian family, one never sides with anyone causing betrayal of the family. Correct. Yes, thank you, Frank. It's not just Italian, but yes, a lot of families. But yes, Italian specifically. I do know many Italians here in New York. Yes, you don't go against the family, right? What's that old saying? I can say my brother's stupid, but you can't. Right? I can go be in a house and I can call him any name I want. But when we get outside the house, that's my brother. You don't get to say that. I can sit at the dinner table and call him whatever the hell I want at the dinner table because that's me and him and our family. But once I leave, that's different, 100%. So I agree with you, Frank, completely. That part really makes me angry. Absolutely. Instant Defense, thank you so much for the super chat, $20. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate all the help. It does matter. Every single time we do this is great. And of course, Mr. Rhythm, Al Gore, he does love this too. So I appreciate that completely. So I really don't like this with the family. It bothers me.
You posted on X Friday night saying you're grateful to your amazing wife because the decision that you've made is one that she's uncomfortable with. So talk to us about the personal.
Think about that. His wife has openly said it. She hates Trump. His wife hates Trump. She said it off the bat. She hates him. And what she do? I'm going to shut up. I'm going to say nothing. Why? Because that's your husband. You think they didn't fight over this? You think she didn't have a whole bunch of words for him? Do you think she want to throw something at this guy? Of course she did. She hates Trump. Of course she did. But she didn't go outside and scream to the press and do some press conference and virtue signal. She didn't do that. She just said, okay, this is it. We're done.
Backlash you have to deal with and moving
Yeah,
forward.
I mean, you know, my family is at the center of the Democratic Party. I have 5 members of my family that are working for the Biden administration. President Biden has a bust of my father behind him at the Oval Office. He's been a family friend for many, many years. And my family is, I understand that they're troubled by my decisions, but, you know, I love my family. I feel like
he's being too good.
We were raised in a milieu where we were encouraged to debate each other and debate ferociously and passionately about things, but to still love each other. So, you know, they can, They're free to take their positions on these issues. There are many, many members of my family who are working in my campaign, who are supporting me. I have a very big family.
He's
There's
being
a
too
few
nice.
of them that are troubled. But, I think we all need to be able to disagree with each other and still love each other.
Wall Street Journal has this. They say it's a two.
So she's being good. She lets him talk and walks away. This is a very positive piece. Very positive. Let me grab a couple comments here. Sarah, thank you for being a member. Did you all see the Trump interview today where he had said nice things about Obama and then disagreed with Obama policy? This after Obama calls Trump dangerous. I'm wondering if Trump is pulling a Bobby. Well, look, maybe, but the point you'll hear me bring up often, I try to give credit where credit is due, right? What we should not do, all of us, if you're listening or watching, what we should not do is because we disagree with someone or don't like somebody, assign only negative traits to them and everything. So they're ugly and they're stupid and they're wrong. No, they may not be these things. I don't care whether you're left or whether you're right. Gavin Newsom, AOC, Lauren Boebert. These are good-looking people. It doesn't mean you agree with them, but they're good-looking people. They are. Michelle Obama is a great speaker. Doesn't say anything true. Great speaker. So you can still say the positive traits they have. You can give credit where credit is due. Obama can rock a room. That's true. He does have some good traits. I don't want him as my president, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have good traits. And I think you can do that. And I think we should, in fact, when you do that, I think people in the long run actually trust you more. Right? AOC is my congressperson. I've never voted for her. I never will. But I can tell you, for her first seat at least, she busted her ass for that seat. I say all the time, she knocked on my door. Her and her people busted their ass for that seat. That is a work ethic that I will always give her credit for. Credit where credit is due. She, as speaking at the convention, she rocked it. Great speaker. She rocked it at the convention. It was great. And I'm never going to vote for her ever. Those two things can be true. So you can look at Obama and say, hey, he's got some positive traits. I'm not going to vote for the guy. I never would. But yeah, it's fine. I do think it's okay to do that. I really do. LA says illegal to write in Nevada. Yeah, thank you. There are certain states, 12 of them, I think 12, maybe 13, where you actually can't write in. They will not, it's illegal. They will not count it. Again, utterly unconstitutional, but still true. So yes. Joe says, if you live in PA, you can write in. Okay, there we go. So in PA, you can write in. In Nevada, you can't. And each state has different rules and regulations. So you might want to consider that before you decide to write in or not. Whatever they decide, you might think about that in your own rules. So yes. All right, let's keep going.
A double-edged sword, essentially, that it may help President Trump to pick up some of your followers if they're willing to go over there. But they warn about what you would do in his administration. They say this, RFK Jr., if he's anywhere near the healthcare or environmental agencies in a Trump administration, look out. Mr. Trump's best response is to thank RFK Jr. for his support, make no promises about the future, and by all means avoid joint campaign appearances. You've already had one. Will you have others? Will you campaign for president?
All right. Now, again, she doesn't ask about this, but here's the reality. This is utterly wrong. I don't know what Wall Street Journal person said this. Utterly wrong. Are there some big donors who may be upset about maybe RFK and Trump campaigning together? Sure, but those big donors, if they're Kennedy big donors, they don't care about this because they already assume he'll do it. If they're Trump big donors, what are they going to give to Harris now? Stop. Maybe. But when it comes to votes, literally, there is there is almost nobody, individual voter on the street going, wait a minute, I'd like to vote for Trump, but wait a minute, if Kennedy gets in there, he might destroy some of the three-letter agencies. I don't want that. I'm voting Harris. That person does not exist. That's not a thing. So this entire thing is dumb if it comes to votes. Now, might there be some issues with big donors? Sure, there could be some. 100%. Donors who have specific issues they want to cover? Absolutely. They're going to vote for Harris now. They're going to give money to Harris now. I mean, maybe, but it's fine. I want to win the election. I want donors too, but I want to win an election. So if I'm Trump, I don't care about that at all. This is a silly opinion. This is the Wall Street Journal just trying to say, hey, big donors, we're on your side. This is the Wall Street Journal virtual signaling to their big donors. That's what this is. This has nothing to do with the reality of going out and campaigning. It's utter garbage.
I'm going to be campaigning actively. I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign, and I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. So those are objectives. The Wall Street Journal may be worried about shareholder value for pharmaceutical companies.
Yes.
I think, I talked specifically to President Trump about that issue, and he said that he wanted to leave as his legacy healthy children, and that,
now that might be true. I don't know if it is. That could be true, or he could just be saying that. I don't know, but I could see how we would want a legacy for sure. Sarah, thank you so much for 49. I appreciate that. Larry for Bobby's cabinet 2028. If he wants to give me a cabinet position, I'm in. I'm happy to take it. Whatever you want to give me, I'm happy to take it. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do it. If you win in 2028, yes, I'm in.
That he was unconcerned about the other implications.
All right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thank you for your.
There we go. So I'll start taking some comments now, but the most important piece here is when you see these interviews, you have to understand where it's coming and how, and why some people will be harder and why some people won't be that hard. What you're going to see coming up here, by the way, is Harris. Harris will have one just like this. It'll be ABC or CNN or MSNBC, whatever, and it will be easy. It will not be hard. It will be everything prepped. That's what I would do, right? If I was advising Harris right now, here's the reality. As I mentioned in another live I did, there's a chance that Harris could beat Trump at the next debate. That could happen. You might go, wait a minute, she's terrible at debates. That's true, but she could win. Why? Right now, that's all she's doing is debate prep. That's all she's doing. Literally, every day. She's not doing work. She's not doing any work. She's spending 3 to 4 hours every day being grilled on this stuff, figuring out how to do it, going back and forth. I know it's what I do with candidates, right? You got to keep doing it. You got to get them to know all the stuff. Go back and forth. Do all the work. Go through it until eventually they're good enough at it, right? Then they're going to give her some test prep, internal stuff, and then they send her off to like ABC or CNN, something friendly, with a bunch of questions they already know is going to answer, so she can answer those and laugh and do her thing and feel comfortable. So you can look decent, look presidential. Then they'll throw into something else, then maybe a debate. So she's going to have some time to prep. This was a very nice, it was a very nice interview for him, friendly on Fox, because now he's supporting Trump, so now Fox will be nice to him. So now he's going to make sure the same thing will happen for Harris. You will see that happen for Harris too. So, yes. All righty. Let's see here. Got to grab a couple of these. All right. I think is it Foley? I'm going to guess it's Foley. I wish he had waited till every state announced he was on the ballot. It would be great to see the mainstream media begrudgingly say he did the impossible. Yeah. Yes. I think that's true. I would have rather it happen, but to be fair, the timing is pretty good. Harris just came off of her coronation ceremony, and now the Sunday and Saturday shows are all about RFK Jr. Not a bad thing, right? I mean, to be forward, the Democrats did it to Trump. Trump got shot. A week later, Biden's gone, Harris is up. Everybody forgot Trump got shot. So smart move on Democrats. Again, I'm not saying it's right, but smart move. If you notice many times when I talk about these things, some of you may not like it because I don't take a moral stance on it often I don't take a moral stance. I just say what was effective and works. And I say that because that's what politics is about. They don't care about what's morally correct. That's secondary. They care about what works. And we should understand that, right? We're the ones being attacked by this. We should get what their thought process is. We should understand why they do what they do. It's not because they love America. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Is sometimes an individual feel that? Yes. I think sometimes individuals do feel that. There are people who are ideologues, who care about America, care about the Constitution, all those things, right? And look at someone like a Mike Pence. A lot of people don't like Mike Pence. But whether you like him or not, he cares about the Constitution. He cares about the system. He does. He cares about the system. That man cares about the system. And he acted accordingly because he cares about the system. He does. So the individual may care about something or some issue or some system, but the people who are running everything, I mean, it's what works. So even though, yes, it would have been better for me personally, someone who cares about ballot access more than almost anything, I would have loved that to be the case. But if I'm in the Trump campaign, I'm going to push Bobby to do it right now to take away all the energy from Harris. And he has done that. So I think it was more effective for that. So yes. All right. Mike says, it sucks if he's off in New York State. It's a big state for votes. His father was a damn senator of New York. Yes. Completely agree. Right. Larry, how can he win 5% of the vote? Because some of the states are huge. California has what? 40 million people, 38 million people, something like that, right? I mean, you get 10% in California, that's going to be like, what, 2 million votes or something like that? It's crazy. So, yes, New York, big state, about 18 million people, give or take, about 10 million voters, probably 8 million will vote. You get 10% of that, 800,000 votes. Right there. You got 2.8 million out of the 8.5 million right there. Gone. Done. About a third. Is the math about right? About a third. So you got about a third of it done right there in 2 states. So it can be done because it's so big. You're exactly correct. They are big states. Yes. So that's why that you could do it. Cage, I think it's Cage John, says, native New York boomer here from Long Island, now residing in Indiana. I haven't voted since 2000 because of the deep corruption in the Uniparty, but I will do what he asks this year and vote for him. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Angelo says, Kamala is ducking interviews, but we expose the debates unless she ducks that too. Now, let me touch this. Angelo, this is a great point. Great point. I'm sure she's prepping for it now. What I just said, I believe is true. Again, I don't know it, but I know it because that's what I'd be doing. And these people are consultants like I mean, I'm better, obviously, but they're consultants too. So they're thinking the same thing. Of course they are. But if I was consulting her, if I could find a way to avoid a debate, I would. Again, not good for America, terrible for democracy. But for her to become the president, if you can find a way to avoid a debate, I would. Because you get in that debate stage, you're rolling the dice. Angela, you are correct. You are rolling the dice. Now, the advantage is if she's strong and she can do well and she can beat Trump, if that's true, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, but if it's true, if she beats Trump in one debate, have no more debates and win the election. That's the answer. You roll the dice, you win the election. If I'm Trump, I throw everything on the line and hope that she breaks. If she breaks down, people are like, we can't have her as president. We can't have her as president. There's no way. So I think that's really the issue. So, yes. All righty. There's so many things I want to try to grab some of these if I can. Pete says, CNN cut away from RFK's speech as he was explaining how the DNC rigged the primary. Yes, I saw that. Replaced their candidate with one who didn't receive a single vote and had the media covered up for it and censored. Yes. However, a lot of other news outlets who were online actually carried the entire thing. AP carried the entire thing. I think BBC carried the entire thing. So a bunch of online did carry the entire thing. So you're right. He didn't get all of them, but he did get some, right? He got some of them. So yes. So he did get some, exactly. So Frank says, to help Trump camp, Kennedy will draw from key states that would help VP Harris. Yes, and that's the issue. What you're constantly hearing is he dropped out. He did not drop out. Now, here's the part I want to bring up too, which is disgusting. One more piece. Ginger brings this up. Ginger, thank you for this. I'd forgotten you brought this up. Thank you. I love my chat, guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. You're so damn smart. And you bring up stuff and let me know stuff. So thank you. Ginger says, they just took away his Secret Service. The words that I want to use, I won't because I'll get kicked off of YouTube. And the Democratic shills are going, it's not Biden's decision. It's a decision from Mayorkas. It's the Department of Homeland Security. Absolute garbage. Not true at all. Not true at all. There's a quote from Mayorkas, if you're going to look at it, in CBS, a bunch of CBS News, a bunch of them covered this. Literally, his quote is, President Biden directed me to give him Secret Service. Let me see if I get the exact quote, but it's something like that. It's like he directed him to do so because he can. Well, no, Larry, legally, the legally is whatever. The president runs the Secret Service. The president runs the Department of Homeland Security. Secret Service has been around since 1865. Department of Homeland Security, what, 2002? Who was running it before the past hundreds of odd years? Nobody. Nobody was running it. Shut up. Stop with your BS. Every Democratic show goes, it's not Biden's fault. It is directly his fault. Directly his fault. Not even close, not about it, directly his fault. If anything happens to RFK Jr., it is directly on Biden's head and on Harris's head. Directly on their heads. That's not directly. Literally, he lost his father and his uncle, and they would take away Secret Service because he supports Trump. And you're telling me that Bobby Kennedy's not mad, a little bit of vengeance? I would be beside myself. I'm beside myself now, and I'm not him. If I was him, I'd be like, let me go on TV just so I can call Biden names. Just so I can call Harris names. That's it. Just let me call them names. What show can I go on so I can insult so I can insult her mother? Like, I would be like that. Like, I'd be that vindictive. Can I just go on a show and insult her mother for a while? Who put me on the podcast? I can do that. I mean, they don't care. They don't care. They didn't care about Trump. They don't care about him. They don't care. This is, and the glory of this, the absolute glory of this is that the Democratic Party now, from their last week, their theme is freedom and joy. So much joy as I take away his Secret Service and make him have to pay for his own security again. And that's what this is about. This is about him having to pay for his own security. And that now he's going to not be able to raise as much money as fast. And so now he has to get someone else to pay for his own security again, just to punish him more. They can't stop punishing him because according to Democrats, he is a traitor and he must be destroyed. Yes, that's how it is. Or according to, if I can quote Darth Vader, he is part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. That is what they see him as. That's it. So they must punish him again and again and again. Just drives me crazy. Okay. Sorry. We should probably keep going if we could. All right. A bunch of stuff here. A lot of you Peter says, RFK is a bozo and any reasonable person knows it. Well, let's assume you're right, Peter. Let's assume he's a bozo. Okay. He will be a bozo who wants to stop wars. I'd vote for that bozo. I'd support that bozo. He's a bozo who could start an actual third party. I'm okay with that. Okay. It's a bozo I'd vote for. 100%. Let's say he is that. So what? So let's say Harris is not a bozo. I mean, she is. But say she's not a bozo. Great. She's not a bozo who will do nothing to help you whatsoever, who is happy that there's no Secret Service, who is happy that you destroy all third parties across the country, says nothing about it, who is happy, literally, to allow black men to stay in modern day slavery in prison systems that she knew about. They were innocent because work, but not a bozo. I'll take the bozo. I'm okay with that. That insult doesn't matter. And why do I say that? Because they will constantly use what the one-word story. He's a bozo, so don't listen to him. He's a bozo, so don't. So listen to the other people who literally bomb people, who literally are responsible directly for thousands of dead people. Again, literally responsible for tens of thousands of dead people and continue to send weapons overseas to kill more of them. But, RFK Jr. is a bozo. Don't listen to him. Just keep taking your tax dollars, murdering people all day long. It's fine. He's a bozo. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Don't worry about it. Keep making people in this country unhappy, losing jobs, losing money. But, people are having kids we have people having kids here in our country now. I'm not joking. They will not be able to read. I wish I was joking. If you have children now who are in school, you know that many of them are struggling terribly to read. To read. He's a bozo. Every other kid you know has an allergy. Every other kid you know has a mental or physical problem. He's a bozo. Ignore him. Keep doing the same thing again and again and again because I gave him a name. I called him a name. So don't listen to him anymore. Go back to the old ways. Go back to sleep. This is literally the movie They Live. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Roddy Piper. So yes, go back to sleep. Ignore it. I called him a name. Done. And I have one argument. He's a bozo. Peter, I don't care if he's a bozo. I don't care if you're right. I don't. Doesn't matter. Does not matter at all. This system's broken. Name calling is not going to help. I don't care. James says, do we have a consistent anti-war movement in the United States right now? Yes, I think we do. A consistent anti-war movement. I think we have two parties that have been consistently anti-war, Democrats and Greens. I'm not a Green Party person, but without a question, if you want anti-war, the Greens are there. The Greens are right in line with libertarians. When it comes to anti-war, Greens, libertarians, we are right in line. We do not want these wars. We want to end these wars. We want to end the bombing, end all of it. I think that's where it is. The problem is right now, neither of them can get on Fox. Neither of them can get on TV. Neither of them can get things done that they should be getting done. That's the problem. And people asked me last night, why? It's sadly money. It's just money. That's what it is. It's money. You run out of money, you can't make it happen. But that's the reason. But yes, absolutely. If you think that your vote is that virtue signaling is the most important thing for you, and I know I've done it too. Guilty. I've also virtue signaled vote. I've done it. Then probably a Green or Libertarian Party vote is a better vote for you. I'm being very forward. If that's the only thing that matters to you, I hope it isn't the only thing. But if it is, that's your best bet. Right now, the anti-war left is actually funding Jill Stein. That's how she's making her money. It's from the anti-war left. I would rather you vote for RFK Jr., my opinion, James. But if anti-war is your number one thing, do I think that Trump will be less of a warmonger than Harris? I think it's obvious. But I think he'll still bomb people. I think he still will. But I think he will be better. No, he'll be less bad. There we go. He'll be less bad than Harris. Harris and Biden are all about bombing, like all about it. All about it. Right? All about it. Trump is about it, maybe not. So he's less bad than them. He's not going to start a new one. He might finish off the old ones, but he's not going to start a new one. That's something, I guess. So if I got to go lesser of two evils, you could go there. But anti-war, without question, those are the two. I'm just being very forward. Again, I'm telling you guys the truth. If that's your number one thing and virtue signaling matters, I would go Chase Oliver or I would go Jill Stein. Both of them are clearly the anti-war, 100% anti-war. They would end the system as soon as physically possible. Maybe to our detriment, in fact. I'd have to slow them down. So yes, just to be clear. Faithful little friend says, the MAGA and Kennedy supporters are forming alliances. X is replete with spaces of them singing each other's praises, kumbaya. Not all, though. Some are being, have you met some of the people? Not all of them. There are some people on both, I'll do the Trump on both sides. There's people on both sides. But I think more of the people on the MAGA side, by percentage, have been like, nope, he's got to drop out, get rid of him, don't vote for him. No, just join us. There's some of them, too. It's not just kumbaya. There is some kumbaya, no doubt. There is. I'm just saying it's not 100%. And I get it. I'm not a Trump supporter. I get it, right? I understand it. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I get it. Mike says, I'm a Trump supporter. Okay, so he is. In New York, who would vote for the Bobby? The problem is he more likely won't be on the ballot and no write-ins. Yeah, I think he'll be on the ballot. I think you should vote for him. The reality of it is, and I say this all the time, I know people get mad, he is not going to win California and New York. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter what the Republican Party will say and try to lie. This is the time. It's not the time. It's not going to happen. If you are Republican in either of those states and you support Bobby at all, vote Bobby. That will be another grain of sand on our beach of 8.5 million votes. Your grain of sand will matter. If you vote for Trump or you vote for Harris in New York State, you have thrown your vote away. Your vote will mean nothing. It will just be your electoral vote will just go to Harris. If you live in New York, your electoral vote goes to Harris, guaranteed. And if it makes something wrong, I will bet you any amount of money you want. You name it. I will bet you will lose and owe me because the vote will go to Harris. Now, your actual popular vote can go to whomever you want it to go to. Your electoral vote's going to Harris if you live in New York because we're winner take all. Whoever wins the state gets all of our electoral votes. So that's going to Harris. I know I live in New York and I don't like that. I recognize it's true though. Let your popular vote matter. That's Bobby Kennedy Jr. So yes. All righty. Lynn says, it looks like the DNC will push to have all of the states he has ballot access to have him removed. He moved too fast. He may lose $15 million. I'm very fearless. Of course, he's going to try, right? The DNC, I feel, may have gone too far. Why would they have done this? People always say, well, Larry, that's dumb. They wouldn't do it. You're assuming that everyone does the smart thing. They don't. The issue is it's the only method they know. When you have a hammer as your only tool, everything's a nail. So all they know is lawfare and attacks. They don't know anything else. So they call someone a bozo. They attack. They don't know any better. They can't fight on policies. The Democratic Party doesn't have any. So you can't fight on policies. And the ones they do have are disaster, or they steal from someone else, one of those two, right? So they don't have anything. So they just fight you on insults and use lawfare. They use the law to do it. And that's what they do. That's why. So, yes. Mike Voss is here. How are you, sir? Mike says, RFK Jr. forces Dems to defend why Harris does not have a single policy position, even after the DNC convention and 34 days of anointment. Yes. Right, that's the issue. Yes. And I think this is a big piece. He's talking about policy things. And they won't let him on CNN because they'll have no answer. Kamala will have no answer. Of course not. Eventually she will. I'm telling you, probably as we speak, they're prepping her. But I'm sure they're prepping her all the time. So yes. The nice person, 22, says he can't back out of Michigan. So his presence in Michigan will hurt Trump, but a lot less now. He will most likely be on in Nevada unless he uses that DNC lawsuit so he can lose, which is presence will hurt Trump. Yes, see, there's another piece people don't know. In certain cases, what happens right now is you do find that certain states have rules where you're done. You have to stay on. They don't give you an option. So he's going to be on this state. It has happened where people, I'm not joking, dead people have won. Yes, that's a thing. Why? The person happens to die, car accident, whatever, can't come off the ballot. People vote for him anyway. Dead guy wins. Yes. So at that point, they have rules, whether it's a vacancy committee or the governor or someone has to appoint someone as if he died in office because they don't have the answer. That does happen. So yes, he might be stuck on there even if he says no. So it's kind of funny that actually does happen. So yes. So let me grab a couple more if I can. All right. I believe it's Jalen, if I'm getting that right. Jalen, if you live in a non-swing state like California, where you know Trump can't win, then continue to vote for Bobby. This will definitely shift the playing field, especially for the DNC. Kamala's cooked. I'm not sure she's cooked. Look, clearly I'm not a supporter, but I'm being real. She can still win this thing. This is not a guarantee. People are going to have to go out there and vote, or she's going to win this thing. Yes. So, Proud Vet says, calling the guy who probably running for president to get revenge on the Democrats. Calling the guy who's probably running for president to get revenge on Democrats. Not sure where you went with that one. Was that for me? Maybe that wasn't me. So, Ryan also, brainworm bozo, another one. Okay, it's 3-word story. Yes, great. He is a brain worm bozo. Got it. Okay, who hasn't bombed anybody? Who is talking about healthy kids? When did Harris talk about healthy kids? Oh, right, never. Never. That's when she talked about it. Right, never will be when she talked about it. When did she talk about fixing our food? Oh, right, never. When did she talk about helping small farmers? That was... Oh, right, never. Never. Not one time. Never. So never talked about it. But brainworm bozo. So fine. When did Kamala Harris talk about stopping the wars? Stopping the wars. That was, if I look back. Oh, right. Never. 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 But yes, it's bozo. More important. You're right. I'm with you. Rick says, thank you, Rick, for being a member. It does my heart good to find libertarians I respect. You and Wes Benedict. I love Wes Benedict. Used to be executive director for the Libertarian Party. Made decisions that mirror my own after the LP convention disaster. I wasn't happy with the LP convention. I'm with you on that one. Was not happy about that. Yes. iRock Starlink says, I wish people would see how much we need RFK now. Maximize the time we give him to get things to straighten out. It's hard, right? And here's the hard part. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's challenging because people want stuff now. They want to work on things now. They want to know where things are going. They don't want to be sitting here. And something else. If you're an RFK Jr. fan or any third party fan, even if you're a Green or Libertarian Party fan, this is a time when all your friends who aren't stop literally pressuring you. I'm not joking. There are a lot of people, and some of you know this, there are a lot of people right now who are saying things like, so now are you going to vote Harris now that your guy left? Or so now are you going to vote Trump now that your guy dropped out, the quitter? I know you're hearing this. I am. So why aren't you going to go now? See, are you happy now? He wrecked everything. So he wrecked everything in this system that is garbage. And why am I mad? I don't know. Why am I mad? So yeah, I don't know. Yes. So Sandra asks, does RFK still think everyone should, does RFK think we should all drive very EXOE? I don't know what that means. I don't know what EXOE is. So maybe. From what I know, he has never wanted a mandate, but he may think you should drive an EXOE, whatever that is. But that's fine. I mean, if someone thinks you do something, nothing wrong with that, as long as they don't want to order you to do so or stop you from doing something else, right? I can think you should, I don't know, not eat chocolate. I mean, eat chocolate. But let's say I don't think you should eat chocolate. Okay, that's fine. I think you shouldn't eat chocolate. So, am I going to ban chocolate? Make it illegal to eat chocolate? No. So why do you care? I mean, eat chocolate. Chocolate's delicious. But I was saying it on purpose. If I believed that you should not eat chocolate, the point isn't whether I think you should eat chocolate or not. The point is, am I proposing some law to stop manufacturers from making chocolate or making it illegal for you to eat chocolate or stopping people in some way? No. Why do you care? I don't drink soda. This is true. I think people shouldn't drink soda. I don't drink soda. Would I ever imagine banning soda like freaking Bloomberg wanted to do? Never. If you want to drink soda, that's on you. You do what you want. I personally think that you should not. And I don't. That is my example I give to others. And if you want to follow my example, awesome. And if you don't, also awesome. So I think that's the critical piece. Does he want to force you or somehow stop that? And if that would be the case, I'd be 100% against that. But whatever you like. Yes. All good. So Felicia says, currently RFK Jr. is breaking the algorithm. My whole YouTube feed is coverage is about him. Yeah, and that's the point. It's not about Harris. I think that's the point. Absolutely. Yes. Proud Vet says, Dems and the media are pulling out all the tricks, lying about Trump and Kennedy's records. Are you surprised? I'm not. This issue I bring up often, and when I talk to people in their campaigns, you'll hear them often say things like, we can't do this. We got to make sure this is happening. That we're scared. I said, don't bother. If you gamble, roll the dice. If you're doing well and there's no dirt on you because you're squeaky clean, they'll just make up dirt. It doesn't matter. They'll just make it up. They will literally just make it up and lie, and there'll be no repercussions. And you see it, Proud Vet. It's exactly what happens. And there'll be none whatsoever. There'll be no chance of them being, punished in any way, shape, or form. Oh, Sandra goes on. I'm sorry. It's expensive battery-operated cars that can have the power turned off. I don't think that he has ever, I've never heard or seen him in any way ever say that he thought that should be mandated. But I think he does like electric cars. I think he does like electric cars. And again, Sandra, if you want to own one. I think you should. Trump says it too. Trump, same way. You want an electric car? Have it. You don't? Don't. So, yeah, I think you absolutely should be able to do what you want. I think he's the same way. But he may personally like them. And I think he does. I think he does. Kate says he didn't use the word dismantle, but he's described exactly that. But wait till you hear what he says next about the no jobs haven't been discussed. Yes, yeah, no, Kate, he can't say that. He has to say nothing. It's against the law for quid pro quo. So he has to do that. That's just how it works. So yes. Let's see here. Mike says, I was talking about RFK on my live stream today, and the social media crushed viewership. Completely outside norm, and subs weren't notified when they normally are. The censorship is real. Yes, this is why I tell you. The reason why I bug you, you're right. If even on Twitter sometimes, I'll have RFK just in my piece in Twitter, and I'll get a warning for the virus. Remember the bug? I get a warning on that, which shuts it down. Happens on Facebook. Happens on YouTube. Why do you think every 10 minutes I'm going, guys, click the like button. Guys, share it. Guys, click subscribe. Why am I saying that? Because Mike is correct. It is real. They absolutely shut us down whenever it happens. The censorship is still there. He's out of he's out of 10 states or whatever. They don't care. They don't give us that 20 states. They are shutting him down. Mike is correct. Yes, absolutely. Guys, please click the like button, share, join, all the things. Do whatever you think you can do. It does matter. So, Peace Logic, thank you so much for Super Chat, $20. My company shoots video for RFK. I'm a huge supporter. I'm in Virginia, so I believe that's a swing state. Never thought I'd consider Trump. I'm creating a documentary on this madness. We'll talk to you more. Brother, reach out to me. Best way is usually Twitter, if you're on Twitter, but you can reach out to me other ways too. Reach out to me. Happy to do an interview or whatever. Happy to do it. Happy to be part of whatever you're doing. Love to make that happen. I think the more people who know what happened in this election season, what happened during this time, the better. I am all in if I can help you promote it. Yes, yes, and yes. Virginia is not, Virginia, I don't think Virginia is considered a swing state. I don't think so. Maybe. It might be. It probably is. Yeah, it probably is. So yeah, so you might be voting Trump or you might be writing in if you want to. I don't know Virginia's laws. I will check both of those. But yes, yeah, we can talk about, I can yap about this. You guys have seen me. I will yap about this literally for hours. I'll give you, Peace Logic, I will give you more content than you can put in one doc. You have to make like three episodes, like 2 hours each. This is basically going to be, it's basically going to be a Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's what's going to be now. You add me to this, call Jackson up. We're going to New Zealand and we're shooting it. I mean, yes, to answer your question, very long-windedly, yes. All right. All righty. Angelo says, Bobby's speech has awakened a lot of people. It's true. A lot of people didn't know this. They didn't get it. Absolutely. So I think that's what makes, this is the thing that I know made Bobby happy, is getting on that stage and telling so many people the things that he wanted to say that people they didn't want to be heard. And now doing it, getting back on, like Fox will put him on now a lot now because he's supporting Trump now, which is a crappy reason. I know some of you think that. I do too. I don't like that. But I do think I do think that's going to happen. So Josh says, thoughts on Trump supporters voting RFK in blue states? I think it's the right answer. Why wouldn't you, Josh? Your vote's not going to count if you vote for Trump. Your vote's not going to count. Right? If you're in New York, if you're in New Jersey, if you're in Massachusetts, if you're in Illinois, if you're in Washington, if you're in California, and you vote for Trump, you threw your vote away. All of those votes, meaning all of those electoral votes, are all going to Harris. That is going to happen. If you don't believe it, I will bet you whatever amount you want, you will lose and you will owe me. Because that's going to happen. I'm 100% sure. Doesn't matter. That's in those states, the states that I just mentioned. Yes, that is going to happen. They're going to Harris. You are not going to get those. However, your popular vote goes towards 5%. That is the grain of sand that we need. Kim says, Larry, thank you so much for your content. I've learned so much from you about the election system, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll have a chance to meet you. I have a chance to meet you in Denver at the INC. Yes, by the way, I will be at the Independent National Convention, which will be in September. Yes, is that right? September. It'll be in September next month. It'll be in Denver. And I will be there. I'll be speaking. I will be there. It will be great. If you are an independent person, you should go. When there is, when everything's official, I will actually send out an email, put it here, let you know you can if you want to get a ticket. I will have a discount code for you. So yes, I will be there. I'll be speaking there. I hope if you guys want to come meet me. I think Bobby will be there too. So don't know for sure, but I think he will be. So there we go. Happy to be there for you guys. Yes, please. So yes. All righty. Thomas says, North Carolina, it's an authorized write-in with strict petitioning requirements. I know my write-in attempt for this cycle failed. I remember. I'm sorry about it, Thomas. Yes. I would love to talk to you about this and other issues. Yes, absolutely. Thomas, weren't you going to come on my show? Oh, but that was only if you won. Right. Right. If you won. You want to talk about your race? I'm happy to anyway. I'm happy to bring you on to talk about your race. So reach out to me via Twitter or something or whatever you think, whatever, and we can do this 100%. So yes. Sarah says, so which Democrats is Trump going to pull out of his hat? Tulsi, Joe Rogan, Elon? No, I think he's going to pull out, my guess is, Democrats who lost in their primary. That's my gut. There are a lot of Democrats who lose in the primary because the system is against them. So the system crushes them in the primary, and then they lose, and they get pissed off and go, I can't run independent. There's a thing, if you guys don't know this, Sarah, it's another thing that you don't know. It's a thing called sore loser laws. Now you might go, sore loser laws? Yeah. The parties make sure that you can't fight them in many ways. And one of those is a thing called a sore loser law. What does that mean? If you run in a primary in a major party, you may not be on the ballot in November. Period. Yes, I know a lot of you are going, my God, there's always another law to stop you. Yes, there's always another way to stop you. So, Sarah, you say, I'm a Democrat and I'm going to run Democratic primary, right? And you go in Democratic primary and they completely screw you over. They only give money to one guy. They have a Democratic primary debate. They don't count you. They do all the things to make sure you cannot be heard. So you go, all right, that's it. You guys screwed me over. I lost primary. I'm going to run as an independent and get in the ballot. You may not. It's against the law. But Larry, I'm running on my own. I'll go get signatures. No, it doesn't matter, Sarah, if you get the signatures and do everything you're supposed to do for the independent line. It's against the law to be on the ballot, which means if it's a state that has no write-in, you can't be on. If it's only authorized write-in, you can't because you can't be on the ballot. There's no authorized write-in. So you can't be on the ballot. They made sure of that. It's called sore loser laws. Not every state has them, but many do. I think New Hampshire might even have it. A bunch of states have it. So yes, so they have another law to make sure you can't. Again, literally unconstitutional. How can a state say because you did something in a private company, you can't be on a ballot? So you can be a felon. You could have murdered somebody, done 25 years in prison, got out on a ballot, but you ran a Democratic primary. No. I'm not joking. That is a real thing. So, Sarah, I know you just fell out of a chair. So get up out of the floor now, if you would, and know that it'll probably be people who have lost in the Democratic primary. That is my assumption. So, yes. So there we go. Flutterby Butterfly says, is Minnesota still a blue state, or is it now a swing state? It's blue. I mean, it could go red in theory. It's not like solid, like, California and New York, but it's a blue state. The odds are high that Harris will win, but it's possible. Like some states are possible, but it's, probably not. So yes. Proud Vet says, Bobby bringing the massive issue of childhood nutrition into the campaign helps Trump, shows empathy. Proud Vet, very valid point. I say this all the time. Trump is very good at showing strength, but he is not good at showing empathy. That's not a skill set he has. He's not good at it at all. Bobby's great at it. Doesn't show strength very well, but shows empathy amazingly. Biden used to be. If you look at Biden from, say, 8-10 years ago, I mean, that guy could project empathy in a heartbeat. He was very good at it. Now, of course, he can't project anything except maybe anger, old man stuff sometimes. But he used to be very good at projecting empathy. Not so much anymore. Harris does not project empathy well. She doesn't project anything very well. She's not very good at projecting anything. But yeah, Trump's good at strength. He's not good at empathy. This does help. I agree with you completely. It does help. Yes. All right, so I grab some more of these. Braden76 says, are there any non-swing states RFK will not be on the ballot for except New York? Yes, but we don't know which ones. We don't know yet. But yes, there will be some. Probably by the end of, if I'm not mistaken, the second week in September is when we will know everything. The second week of September is when we will know everything. Yes. Then we'll have all the pieces. So yes. Sarah says, we can still get 8 years with Bobby. He's 70, going on 50. You're not wrong. Odds are he's going to live into his 90s. So yes, you're supposed to go into his 90s. Yes. Kate says, Larry, I think Bobby is mad and disappointed, but he truly doesn't want revenge. I don't know him that well. So Kate, maybe if you know him better, maybe you're right. All I can say is I have been there, and to a lesser extent, meaning I have been hurt less than he has been hurt. I've watched him attack. If I'm wrong, he's a better man than me. And that may be true. But I'm just saying, if it were me, I would be mad. I would be. And I wouldn't blame him if they were mad. How about that? Is that fair? I think that's fair. Ryan, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Between the laws and regulations when it comes to elections, libertarians and other third parties will have to raise at least $30 to $80 million just to be competitive. Sad but true, pay to play. I bring this up, right? And one of the reasons why I was so adamant about having Lars Mapstead as a libertarian candidate this year, and libertarians did just not want to hear me, and it's fine, they don't have to, is I knew that he could raise millions of dollars. And with those millions, he could raise more millions. And then with getting on, he could raise more. How do I know that? I saw it during the Gary Johnson campaign. Gary Johnson, for libertarians, got the most that any libertarians ever gotten. He got 3% of the vote, 4.5 million votes. More than any libertarian. In fact, that's probably the same amount the last two campaigns combined. So he did very well, obviously. He raised $13 million. A lot of money, but not enough to win. To your point, I think you're right. If I take 30%, double that to 6, take 13, double it to 26, we're talking 30 million, like you said. You raise $30 million, you easily break 5% and maybe win a state. I think someone like Lars Mapstead could have done that, because not only would he would be in all of the polls. Why? Because he could afford to buy polls. He would be in the polls also. Why? Because he could afford to buy ads. He was already in polls before he got here. He was already raising enough money. He was on a blip because he was raising so much money. He would have been able to be out there. He would have been a threat like Bobby. They would have been attacking him, making his family say they hate him or something. They'd be doing it to him right now. What's the advantage? Lars wouldn't have dropped. He wouldn't have. He wouldn't have made a deal. He wouldn't have. He just kept running. So now if Lars had been running and then Bobby had dropped out, a bunch of people would have gone to Lars to get the 5%. Would have gone to Lars to get the extra, to get the stop 220. Would have gone to Lars for that. You would have seen a lot of people going to Lars because he would have already been a player. He would have already been a player. In fact, if this happening, RFK might not have made a deal with him because Lars also had cash. They both would have had money. They might have made a deal together. Who knows? They'd already talked, by the way. They'd already talked. That was the thing. And I told the people at the convention, they were already talking. They were already about stopping 270. There was already a conversation about it. Already a conversation. They're like, no, we want to fight culture war. There's your culture war. Good luck. But you are correct, Ryan. I do think that next, if for us to make impact in 2028 as libertarians, you're going to have to raise $30 million. I think that's an accurate number. I think you're right. $30 million means we can break our 5%, maybe win a state, make something happen, make real impact, fight against the Democrats in general. I think you have to, right? Get on some TV sometimes, buy some ads. I think you're right. I don't see any other way around it. I would agree with that. So yes. All righty. All right. This is Life 85. I spoke to a friend in Iowa, a red state. If the campaign wants 5% for a new party, why did they stop campaigning operations in Iowa? If I'm not mistaken, they stopped all of the things because they're rebooting, which is hard, right? So if I'm not mistaken, they stopped everything. They suspended everything for now to reboot. They've got to figure out what states they're going to be in, what they're not, and then where to spend the money they have, how to raise more money, all those things, right? They got to figure all this out. The PAC has to figure out, where does the PAC want to spend the money? What's the PAC going to focus on? All those things are being done, and that will be done, my gut says, within a week or so. Within about a week, there's going to be a reboot in some way, and it will be clearer. Are they going to focus X dollars on Iowa? Not do it where they're going to go? who's going to be in charge. You're going to see a lot of people who are unhappy leave to be forward. There are some people who are unhappy and they're just going to leave, and more who are going to come in, right? Some of the people who are, say, I'll give you an example of this. This is life. If you're in Iowa, the assumption is Trump's going to win. There's a lot of Republicans who love Trump who do nothing, who are doing nothing. Just like, okay, I see in New York, tons of Democrats. What are you going to do? They leave the state. This is a real thing. People who are hardcore supporters of Democrats have nothing to do in New York State. She's going to win. So they either support local candidates in local races that are tight. Locally, Republicans and Democrats sometimes fight in New York State. So they'll fight in one of those, or they'll literally pack up and move. I'm not joking. They pack up and move to a swing state for 3 months, and they work there. So Republicans in Iowa, probably many of them thinking, well, I'll pack up and I'll go to Nevada, or I'll pack up and I'll go to Arizona. If I'm really hardcore Republican, I'll go to Arizona and fight in a swing state. Well, now you don't have to. Now you can join the Bobby team and still be active. You can join the Bobby team in Iowa and be active as a Republican. You can do that now. So they don't know how to do that yet because there's a rules and how do we mix and match. This is why you see a lot of things just stopping until eventually they'll begin to change. You'll see that begin to swap afterwards when they figure that out. I hope that answers your question. So yes. Becky says, I think it's righteous anger, not vengeful anger. Ooh, I like how you think, Becky Lee. Like that. He'll flip the tables as is needed to save his country and the people. That's amazing. Becky Lee, I've changed my mind. It is righteous anger. I like that. Well done. I'm with you on that. That's good, Becky Lee. That's good. Gail says, unity feels good. LA says, unity does feel good. Yeah. So yes, that would be nice. But depends on who it is, right? That's the issue. So yes, depends on when and how you do it. So, all right. So if I can grab some more of these, if I can. All righty. So many of these, I'm trying to grab the ones that I can at the right time. All right. So many. Shelly says, nice to meet you in LA. I don't think that was for me. Or was it? Maybe it was. I don't know. Manifest Crypto says, the Democratic Party today isn't the same party as their father. Agreed. I say it all the time. If you're old enough to remember, the Democratic Party of the 70s was not the Democratic Party. The 80s, it wasn't, but it was getting there. The 90s, it wasn't still, but it was getting there. There were still people saying things like big government's bad, blah, blah, blah. But man, the Democratic Party of today, I don't know what the hell it is. It's terrible. Yes. Carly says, the betrayal is more common than you think, Larry. Yes. I say all the time. LA says, yes, shame on his family for shaming him. 100%. 100%. I am so unhappy with his family for that. Just terrible. Yes. Melissa says, zero answers as to root cause. It's just take these meds for the rest of your life. Don't worry about side effects. Yes, there's no money in the cure. There's money in treatment. You're correct, Melissa. So how are you, by the way? I hope you are well. So yes, absolutely. If I grab a couple more. Proudvet says, Democrats running their Vibes campaign while being attacked as corrupt. Yeah, but Vibes sound good. They feel good, right? I mean, they do. It's so funny. They do sound good. They do feel good. It's absolutely true. So yes. All right. If I can grab some more of these. Kim says, hi, Larry. Thank you for all your great content as I take a masterclass. Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm trying my best. I try to answer the questions as thoroughly as I can, and I try to give you some background as to why it happens. Again, so you can understand it. So when you hear it, you go, this is what you mean. That's what they're actually saying. Okay, this is why they said it. And you can see that and get it, right? And be clearer, and you can make better decisions. But something else, you can tell your friends when they go, but this happened. Yeah, but here's why and how. So at least you get that. So yes. John says, Larry, thanks for the hard work. I'm excited to vote for RFK Jr. in New York. Just to move a third party forward here in New York. Yeah, they're the only third party in New York. Greens, Libertarians, Cornel West will not be on the ballot in New York. At the moment, Bobby Kennedy's not in the ballot, but I think by the end of this week, he might be there. I do think maybe he'll be on. I feel comfortable. That's what I'll say. Joel, how are you, sir? Joel says, the Dems are digging up all the dirt they can, along with embellishing on certain points. Bobby was a cokehead dealer at Harvard type things. Yes, and you see it all the time, right? You see them do the one word. You saw it here. People doing the one word story, right? He's this, so ignore him. He's that, so ignore him, right? And that's, no. He's a thing. We all are something you can say that's negative. All of us are. Ain't none of us perfect. Not one of us perfect. Not one. So we're all something. We all got something in our closet or whatever we got or something we did, whatever. Doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to us. I mean, maybe you shouldn't. You can be squeaky clean and be a complete moron. Doesn't mean anything. So I completely agree. They say it all the time. It's kind of embarrassing. Manifest Crypto says it. Everyone has positive and negative qualities. So true. Yes, I agree completely. Yes, 100%. Gail says, my friend and I set up a Kennedy booth at the fair. We loved him that much, and we both are thrilled to see him unite these movements. Oh, that's good. I love that. Jennifer says, I'm the only one in my family of Republicans who is both Democratic and Republican views. So now I have the best of the worlds after Kennedy endorsement. Well, there we go. See? There we go. We get both in that case. I love it. I love it. All right. Let's see. Sassy says, to anyone new, if you live in a solid red or blue state, vote RFK Jr. Won't hurt Trump, but make it a fair and equal playing field for lobbying in 2028. Also true. Look, guys, there's a future here. There's a future here. Don't give that up. There's a future here. We don't want to spend all this time, energy, and money and get nothing. Let's keep going. Jane says, will the New York ruling likely get overturned in RFK Jr.'s favor? Yes. The odds are high. Yes. Agreed. 100%. I do believe it will happen. 100%. I mean, look, I could be wrong, but in these things, I'm usually right. Right? I've been through this enough that I'm usually right. iRock Starling says, RFK 2024, let's not wait. Here's the issue. Is it possible that he creates a contingent election? Yes, it's possible. It is. It's possible. It's very unlikely unless people really get on board and start voting for him. Here's the chicken and egg piece, right? People aren't going to try for the contingent election unless they think he can win and make impact. So if we just start talking about the 5% making impact, people will actually want to vote for him. If people actually vote for him, there's a chance to continue election in which he could actually win. So we've got to get people seeing that this is a race that has impact, a race that matters, right? That your vote does count. Usually it doesn't, right? Jalen's on board. He goes, let's get that contingency election, y'all, which means we got to vote. That's the point. Yes. Mike says, for the contingent election, you have to hope a faithless elector votes for Bobby. Many states change their rules and allow it. 2 parts. All right. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a, you want a masterclass? Here's more. Here's the thing that's odd. And also why it's sometimes you have to fight sometimes within states. In the case of the president and only the president, we actually don't vote for the president. Saying what? We don't. Who we vote for is the electors. That's true. Officially, you are not voting for Trump or Harris or Kennedy. You're not officially voting for them. Who you're voting for is electors. The electors then go and vote for the candidate. So you're not really voting for the candidate. You're voting for the elector. Now, the elector, in theory, in some states, Mike is correct, in some states could do whatever they want. They can show up and go, yeah, I know my people told me to vote for Harris, but I like Trump, I'm voting Trump. They could do that in some states. Some states have what's called bound electors. A bound elector means that you must, by state law, vote for whomever won your state. But not all states have those laws, to Mike's point. Some laws, they just go, oh, that's the elector, so you'll vote for him. Well, who picks electors? The campaign does. So literally, the Trump people went out and selected their people in every state and said, I want you guys to be my electors. This is how it actually works. And you volunteer. Yeah, I'll be an elector. Okay, you're an elector. They only pick people who they trust and think will vote for their guy. But could there be a rogue elector? That's what it's called. It's called a rogue elector. You could have a rogue elector, and he could go and vote for whoever you want. It has happened in the past once or twice. It does happen here or there. But you don't just need one. You need a whole bunch. You need a whole bunch. So let's say, for example, you had 40 rogue electors who all voted for RFK Jr. Now we're good. One probably will not affect the election. But if you had like 20, 30, you could. It is possible that happens. But again, If I thought you were a faithless elector, there's also ways, this thing called, I'm giving you all the details, guys. I hope you're interested in it. There's a thing called a vacancy committee. There's a vacancy committee that's also selected when you select your group of electors. So if, say, I'm in New York, and I think there are 26 electors in New York, they pick 26 people. Each campaign picks 26 people. If you notice, when you go to your ballot, governor has a name, senator has a name, but president, it has a list of electors because you were officially voting for the elector. That elector was selected by the campaigns. Now, if all of a sudden, say I'm elector for Trump, whatever. I mean, I'm not, but say I was, and they think Larry's been talking RFK. That guy might be a rogue elector. They'll get rid of me and have a vacancy committee fill someone else in. So you'd not only have to be a rogue elector, you'd have to be a quiet rogue elector so that nobody knew you were going to do something else. So you'd be a secret rogue elector, and then no one knows, they don't replace you. Then you show up and vote for somebody else. So could it happen? Yes. Has it happened before? It has, but it's been like one or two guys. Seriously, it has happened, but it's very rare. It does happen here or there. But again, do we have 40 secret rogue electors? That would be amazing. I hope you're right. But that's how that works. We actually don't vote for the president. That's actually not a thing. We vote for electors, which is why this is another minor thing. If you fight against the ballots or the petitions, you have to let every elector know. Every elector has to know. In California, it's like 53 of them or whatever it is, 54 of them. Let all of them know. By mail. If you don't, it's not valid. Why? Because they're actually the candidates. They're actually the candidates. The president isn't the candidate. The electors are. That's our Electoral College. That's how it works. It was in the Constitution. That's how it works. So, yes. Thank you for that, Mike. I appreciate it. And you gave me an opportunity to give you more inside baseball stuff that some of you are falling off the floor, but it's just true. It's how it works. So, yes. All righty. Jennifer said, he said he cared more about Ukraine than Americans. Who said that? I hope that. I don't know. It was for me, was it? I don't know who that was for. I don't know. But some people probably do think that, I bet. Yes. So Felicia says, most people I know here in Illinois are voting for RFK Jr. Oh, that's great. Okay. That's good. So Kim, how are you, Kim? Kim says, and the DNC thought they were so cool with Kinzinger speaking. Dems never saw this one coming. I think they did. They didn't care. Yes. I didn't care. Rosa says, yes, we need to know what we're up against, Larry. Can't stress this enough. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you guys as much as I possibly can. Right? I'm trying to give you guys as much inside info that you can get. You can tell others and pass this on. So, yes. And she says, but what about the cheating that the DNC will do at the polls? Like they've done in the past, is Trump and Bobby going to fight that? And this is the issue I bring up all the time. Here is your answer. And this is going to sound so insane when I say it. But this is the answer. The more people who show up at the polling sites, the better. That's the issue. The more people who show up at the polling sites, the better. Can it stop everything? No. Can it stop a whole lot? Yes, it can. The more people who show up to be observers, to be around, to be there, the better. The more the press is there, the better. The more you're there, the better. That is your answer, Angie. It's not a great one, I know. I wish I had a better one. Most people, with the exception of Lars Mapstead, who literally came out with a voter bill of rights. If you care about it, it's on lars24.com. There's a voter bill of rights. With the exception of him and the voter bill of rights from him, no one is talking about election integrity. Nobody is. He was the only one, and he should have been the Libertarian nominee. So, yes, he's the only one. So, there we go. Sassy teases me, goes, oh, okay, agree. Pence is awful. I didn't say Pence was good. Again, but that's my point. I don't want to assign only negative to everybody. I want to assign the negative that's real and the negative that's, not real. Don't talk about it. Let's give him credit where credit is due. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean I'd vote for Pence. I think he should be president. I'm not saying that, but it doesn't matter. So, yes. LA brings up a very good point. Bobby will make independence doable if he's elected. 100%. That is so true. Even if he just does well. Just does well. So, yeah. Okay, I think that point I think is very important. So, yeah. All righty. Pete says, but Larry, isn't the vote for Bobby a vote for Kamala? Okay, here's how it works. Whoever I like and you don't vote for the guy that I like, your vote's for the opposite. That's how that works. So if I like Trump, any vote not for Trump is a vote for Kamala. If I like Kamala, any vote for not for Kamala is a vote for Trump. That's how that works. So it all matters on how I feel, Pete. The world revolves around me and my feelings. So whatever I feel is true. I hope that answered that question. My feelings are by default true. So yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. That lady says, I'm curious if Lars won the LP nomination, you as VP, you'd definitely be pushing for Lars. Yes, I'd be the VP. It would be a Napstead Sharpe ticket. Yes, that was the hope, but didn't work. So yes, didn't work, but yes, of course, that was the whole point. Yes. All right. Where am I here? Katie says, I think that's does or do. Do the people know Obama and the Democrat Party are third way? Remember TPP? I remember something like that. I don't think people think about that anymore, Katie. I think that's kind of out of our public world right now, right? I think that's out of our public world right now. Maybe it has to come back. But I think most people are not thinking about that at all. Yes. Jalen says, I want crypto's questions answered. Did I not? Which question is that? Did I answer the question? I'm sorry. These go by so fast. I try grabbing them when I can. I hope I answered it. I don't know if I did or not. Maybe someone put it back in again. If I missed it, if I did not ask that question, please pop it in again, and I'll try to grab it if I can. I try to get, there's so many of them. I try to get what I can get. I might have missed it. I don't know if I answered. I hope I did. So, Frank says, today's Democratic Party resembles the old Soviet Union communists. I wish you were wrong, Frank. I wish you were wrong. But no, it's a single party who they say to put up, shut up and clap. You are correct. I wish that was wrong, but you are right on the money and getting worse. And getting worse. So yes, and getting worse. Melissa says, hi, Larry, I'm good. I hope you come to the area again soon. I will. I will try to do a full Sharpe again this year if I can. If you're listening and you haven't been around for a while, I cover New York State every single year. I go to every county in New York State every year, whether I run or not. I keep my state in hand. I understand, keep meeting people and understand what's going on here, which is why I say I know who's going to win the election. I called the governor election within 1 point. I said that Hochul will win between 5 and 7 points. She won by 6. I'm not, and again, I have receipts. I said that in public. I have receipts. I said it before the election. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And I'm telling you, Trump is not going to win New York State. I know I said too well. The people who would be voting for him are leaving this state in droves. They're gone. They're voting in Florida now. They're voting in North Carolina now. They're voting in South Carolina. They're voting in Tennessee. They're voting in Texas. They're not voting in New York anymore. They're gone. They're packing up and leaving. We have a thing in New York State called zombie houses. I know, crazy. If you go to I don't know if it's still there, but it was at least a couple years back. It was a thing actually on the New York governor website called zombie houses. People just packing up and leaving. Don't care if they have a lease. Don't care if they have a mortgage. See you in court, I guess. I'm out, packing up and leaving houses in New York State, upstate New York, particularly just there. People drive by. It's all grown over. Does Jane still live there? I don't know if she does. I haven't seen anybody there. Then before you know it, what's happening? You know, squatters in there. And then nobody gets out. And the bank loses money because they already quit. They're not paying the bank. They don't care. And now the squatters are there. And they can't sell it now. So everyone's losing. It is terrible. So, yes. All righty. Where am I here? So many of these things. KG says, I was just watching an interview with you, Larry, and left a comment and said, Sharpe is sharp. Thank you, my friend. Everyone does count. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Ryan Murphy says, the DNC in 2024 reminded me so much of the RNC in 1992. No policy, but stay the course and attack and hate your opponent all day long. That's true. Remember in 92, Bush Sr. had a terrible campaign. It was just like, I'm Bush, damn it. That was basically his entire campaign. And meanwhile, Bill Clinton is saxophone on late night TV, being a cool guy with the shades. Oh, he was cool. I was a youngin' then, but I mean, he was cool. I was impressed. I didn't vote for Clinton, but I was impressed by Clinton. I was like, wow, this guy's cool. Sitting there on our Arsenio Hall show, playing his saxophone with his sunglasses. Meanwhile, Bush is like, I'm Bush. Of course he lost. Of course he lost. Clinton was super cool. I mean, if you weren't around 92, you probably didn't know that, but anyone who was around 92, whether you voted for him or not, I mean, the guy had cool points. Spoke well, savvy, and could rock a crowd. That's absolutely true. And was a good policy guy. Not that he had good policies. He knew policy well. He knew it very well. So, yes. All right. Let's grab some more of this if I can. Let's see here. Jennifer says, that was Mike Pence with Ukraine. Ah, yes, that makes total. That's okay. That makes sense. Thank you, Jennifer. That makes sense. Yes. Yeah. That Liberty Lady says, can you explain a little about the creation/history of two-party system if you think it was created just to create division? Yes and no. The two-party system wasn't created as a two-party system. In fact, our Constitution does not have parties in it. Parties are not constitutional. They're not in it. In fact, George Washington said, don't do it. It's just going to hurt. Don't do this thing. A lot of people said, don't do it. And we said, we don't care. We know better. And we did anyway. And now parties run everything. That's why it fails so much, because the Constitution was not prepared for parties because we weren't supposed to have any. So what do you do with parties? You just make up rules. And I want to be very clear. You just make up rules. This is not like we were thinking this through. They just make up rules. And they make up rules that make them work well, because that will work well because they make up rules. And the problem with that becomes the rules aren't constitutional. They can't be, because parties aren't in the Constitution. So yeah, what winds up happening is people make the parties, and the parties tend to be easy left and right in general. But in the past, parties were just reasons, were just way people got together to organize. That's what they were. And I'm not necessarily against that. But what wind up happening is people, like, printing ballots wasn't a thing several years ago. You would go to your ballot and your election place, and you'd write down the name of the person that you wanted to vote for. Or what would happen often is party bosses of the local party bosses would give you sheets of paper if you were part of that party. I'm not joking. So, like, say you're a Republican or Democrat in some town or something. You'd go to your party boss and go, hey, party boss, who's our candidate? Oh, it's Johnny Smith. Yeah, and they'd give you a sheet of paper, which would have Johnny Smith's name on it, and you put that into the ballot box. That's how it actually worked back then, right? 1800, early 1900s, late 1800s, here's this piece of paper, put them in. So they would actually do that. They weren't printing ballots. That wasn't the thing. So now they print ballots. Well, once that happens, now the parties control everything. Well, once they control things, things change. Now, parties, if you go back before the 90s, weren't so harsh. What I mean by that is, you could be a Republican, but you could be a left-leaning Republican. You could be a Democrat and be a right-leaning Democrat. Back when the Kennedys were there, they were Democrats. They were more right-leaning than many Republicans were. Some Republicans were more left. It was back and forth, right? It was swapped. It began to change in the 90s, believe it or not, with Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich, when he did his contract with America, that was the first step. He was the one who said, we must use horrible words. And this is written down. I'm not making this up. This is written down. It's in books. He was the one who was saying, we must say things like the enemy is evil and wicked and wrong. He began it. Well, you know who finished it, believe it or not? Obama finished it. Not for good, for bad. If you go before Obama, every president, and first term Obama was still on board with this. First term Obama was still, there's not a right America and a left America. It's all one America. Bush was united, a divider, right? They were all the presidents, even the one parties, were like, we're for everybody. And first Obama, he was too. But then the Republicans in this case, I think, was it Mitch McConnell, I think? He said, our only goal is to make sure Obama's a one-term president. That was it. And once it happened, that was it. At that point, Obama said, I don't care either. And he was like, Republicans, hate you all. Done. And he became anti-Republican, period. And that was the end of it. And then people think it was Trump. Trump doubled down on that. Of course he did. He was like, oh, this is how we play this game? Let me show you how to play this game. You think division is something. let me tell you what division is. So he doubled down on it, which is why it's funny that him even trying to be with RFK Jr. is a reversal. And I'm going to go back and I'll tell you what I think happened. I think historians will tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. I think the attempt on his life made Trump rethink things. I think it did. That is a significant emotional event in your life. I think it made him. I'm not saying he's all of a sudden a good guy. Please don't go there, please. But I am saying it does make you rethink things. And I think he started to rethink things. That's why that phone call happened after the attempt on his life. I think that's when things changed. So the parties initially started just as getting people together to help out with the voting and organizing. And then that normal left-right paradigm began to pop in. And then they started making rules on parties. And the rules weren't good because they weren't constitutional. So people just made them up. So people started realizing how valuable it is to have just my two parties. So they just having two parties because it works well. Why does it work well? Because if I have only two parties, I don't have to do anything right. I just protect you from the other. I create the baseball teams, right? I grew up in the Bronx, South Bronx in the 70s. There still is a rivalry, but it was a massive rivalry at the time, still is, but it was massive between the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees. So if you were in the Bronx, you always said the Boston Red Sox suck. It didn't matter if they were a good team or not. You just said they sucked no matter what. If you were Boston, you said Yankees suck. Didn't matter if they were a good team or not. Doesn't matter. They suck because they were the other. That's it. That's why they say terrible. Why? Because they're the other. That's what happened. And that's what happened in the two-party system. And now the rules reinforce that, and we all suffer. So hope that answers your question. So yes. All righty. DJ says, can you comment on the 12th Amendment and the contingent election a little bit more in detail? Yes, I can. Okay. Contingent election. If nobody gets 270 electoral votes, if that happens, when nobody gets it, the election for that day is over. Nobody won. You must get 270 or more electoral votes according to our rules in the Constitution, or you may not become president. You must get that. You can't get the plurality. Like, well, I got 250, but more than everybody else. Does not matter. It must be 270 or more, or you may not be president. So what happens? Well, it goes to the Congress. And the Congress, and it goes to the incoming Congress. So the incoming Congress gets seated in January. So now there's 2.5 months, 2 months or so of nothing. No one knows who the president is, in theory, until January. In January, it comes up to Congress. And each congressional group gets one vote. One vote, no matter what state you're from. So Wyoming gets one vote. California gets one vote. Wyoming is as popular, as powerful as California. Whoever gets majority, in this case, 26, because Puerto Rico doesn't vote, DC doesn't vote. Only states vote. So no one else votes except the states. Whoever gets 26 votes wins. That's how it works. So wait a minute, Larry, how does that work? Well, they have to keep voting. What if they do a vote and no one gets 26? They must revote. Do you remember when they were trying to find a Speaker of the House? They had to keep voting until they found one 13 times, so they found a Speaker of the House? Same thing here. And in the Constitution, 12th Amendment, they may not do any other business until that's done. They may not. They must stay there and vote until they get a president. The Congress may not do any other business until that. And legally, they may only pick from the top three. The top three vote getters can be selected. That's, again, it's in the Constitution. Only those three. The top three vote getters, they have to pick one of them. That's how that works. Who gets 26? What will actually happen? Here's what will actually happen. If there's a contingent election, the question is now, how many states does Trump have? Harris will not have 26 states. That's not going to happen. She might have 22, 23, 24. The number of states, not electoral votes, number of states. Remember, each state has different electoral votes. Number of states, Harris will not have 26. That's impossible. Will never happen. She might have 23, 24, maybe. Trump could. If Trump has 26 states, come January, he's president. If Trump does not have 26 states, let's say, for example, Trump has 25, Harris has 24, and Bobby has 2. Is that right? What's left over? 1. Bobby has 1. Bobby has 1. So Bobby has 1, Trump has 25, and she has 24. No one has 26 states. Huh. What are you going to do? Over the next 2 months, you're going to be horse trading back and forth. Who's going to vote for what? The only person who can horse trade well is going to be Bobby Kennedy Jr. Because he could have said, I'll take 3 Democrats here, 4 Republicans here, 2 this, 2 that, but boom, bring them all in, make a team of rivals. He's president, gets 26 states. That's how that would actually work. Then the vice president now is selected off the two that are remaining. Yes. And the Senate does that. Again, each state gets one vote, but the Senate decides the vice president, and each one gets one vote because the vice president will become the president of the Senate. Now, the reality of that is no one's going to take that job. Not going to happen. So what will happen in reality is the Senate will they will on their own elect the vice president. Similar to what happened for Gerald Ford when both Nixon and Spiro Agnew both stepped down in the 70s. The Senate selected Ford. So the Senate will select somebody for the VP because no one's going to be someone else's. Harris is not going to be Trump's VP, right? That's not a thing, right? It's not going to happen. So they have to select somebody. They will literally just find a senator they like, that they can all agree upon, and that person will wind up being the president. Vice president. That's what will actually happen. So I hope I answered your question. That will all get done in January of next year. That's how the system works. That's in the 12th Amendment. If you want to read it up, it's there. And it's happened before, twice before. It happened for Thomas Jefferson and for John Quincy Adams. So it did happen twice before. So yes. Wow. A lot of stuff here. So many things. I want to check to make sure I answer those questions if I could. These said, thank you. Yes. Got that. Yes. He says we could possibly have a Trump-Walz administration in the election since the Senate votes for VP. Yes, but no. That's my point. In theory, yes, but nobody would take it. You're right in theory, but in practice, that wouldn't happen. Theory, you're correct, but in practice, that wouldn't happen. So yes. All righty. Yes, he says 1824. That's true. 1824 is when it happened, and also in 1800, I think. So I think both of those, if I'm not, yeah, I think that's correct. I think it was both of those, if that's correct. So yes. All right. Sarah says, so in 2050, as they're voting. We can only hope, Sarah, in which case they'll do absolutely nothing. They'll do absolutely nothing. So maybe we can hope that. That'd be amazing. So yes. Guys, you gave me 2 hours tonight. I appreciate all the time you gave me. I really do. I want to say one more time before we go, click the like button. I know I say all the time, click that like button. If you haven't shared it, please share it. If you want to subscribe, please do so. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook, all the things. I show this on 8 platforms so people can see it. Please do so. Thank you for all the super chats. I appreciate them always. If you want to become a member and support this channel so I can keep doing more of this and less consulting and give you masterclass if you want it, I'll give you all the info I can give you. Become a member. $29 per month. Click that join button on Larry Sharpe YouTube. Every single membership does count. The more we get, the better. The more I can do this. Life is good if we can do that. I do appreciate all that time. I'm also, as I always ask you, the guy I'm trying to keep happy, Al, Mr. Rhythm, middle name Gore, Al, Gore, Rhythm. You know him. Mr. Rhythm likes when you come back later afterwards and you leave a comment after this live is over. So wherever you are, whether you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Getter, Rumble, I'm on all of them. If you're watching on any of those, do me a favor, come on back afterwards, leave a comment. I don't care what you say, anything. Leave that comment if you can. It really does matter. It helps tremendously. I will see you all very soon.